It's the Break Free Blog Vlog. I'm
We're
Zach.
back. I'm Ann.
And we're back. What's up, everybody? It's been a minute. Holidays, things such. Me not coordinating schedules very well. Ann, how you doing?
I'm good. 2019 is rocking and rolling, and yeah, it's busy. Life is good, so we're glad to be back. And today we are taking your questions.
Nothing and this is true talk. Nothing makes me happier than the fact that we got a question. So let's answer it.
Yes. So our question is basically covering how distance challenged bands prepare, practice, and rehearse. So that's question number one. And our second question is looking at life hacks for learning song long set lists. So there we go. So Zach Sloan, we've dealt with some distance challenging
For sure.
challenges. Yeah, even just with the two of us. And
yeah, so in September, Ann played bass at my record release party for my EP, Bar Crawling. And she is in New Mexico. I am in Colorado. So we dealt with this exact issue as my dog just wanders into the shot. But we've dealt with this. And it was there's a few things that we can sort of touch upon, but we've dealt with this personally. But before we get into it, I just want to say to the person who sent this in, thank you so much for your question. We really appreciate it.
yes.
We appreciate all of you who listen to watch this, who subscribe, who hit the notification bell, all that cool stuff. But to my man, who I don't know if he wants me to say his name or not,
I don't know either.
I don't know, but I'm gonna send you some free stuff. So thank you so much for emailing into us. You're the best. And let's talk about distance rehearsal.
Let's talk about it. So, first of all, my point number one is you've got to make sure that you actually want to make that work.
Yes.
Because I've been in situations where distance wasn't that far, like more like 20 or 30 minutes, and people just really weren't into it.
Yep.
And so I'm just going to make the point. The Hard Road Trio that I've been playing with for over 10 years now, they live 5 hours from me. So I've wanted that enough that I've made it work. So first of all, you got to make sure you want it. And I wanted to play with Zach enough back in September that I wanted to make that work too. So step number one, if you don't want to do it, it's really just better to tell your bandmates that you're not committed.
Church. That's all true.
So, all true. So you're looking at how you can be efficient and how you can be prepared on either end. And so charts are a wonderful thing. So Zach sent me a set list and a bunch of charts and recordings. That helps out a lot.
Especially if you're doing original music that you might not like. When Ann was coming up, the record wasn't out yet, so she couldn't go listen to it unless I sent it to her. So if you're the band leader, send your people stuff early. Just be cool.
That too. So yeah, also don't send it last minute. So Zach gave me months to work on stuff. so and if you're doing cover tunes and there's a version that you're specifically wanting to do, let people know that. Let people know the key that you're doing it in. So, nothing like learning something in the wrong key.
By the way, what you just said about specific cover versions and renditions was actually my big point on this. Was make sure you're clear about how you want the song to be played. If you want to play it like X, let people know and send them that.
Right. And if you're band leader or the person picking the song, if you chart it out, it helps you learn it, first off. And so I guess a point on charts too. I'm a fan of Nashville number system just because inevitably folks in my band end up changing keys. And so that's a little easier. So if everybody in your band can learn that, it's great. It doesn't take that long. At first, if it's new, it might feel a little weird. But yeah, Nashville number system is worth learning and getting your charting system that works for everybody and having a consistent system with that.
And I'm gonna touch on for the second part of his question, as far as hacks, why Nashville numbers is actually a hack. So I'm glad you brought that up as well, Ann. It's almost like we prepared for this.
Almost.
All right, what's your next point? Because you had some good stuff on this.
So next point is to give yourself time to actually rehearse. Oh, yeah.
Mm,
So doing your own practice. So then when you come across questions or somebody's chart isn't quite right, or that you actually have time to do that instead of thinking, oh, sweet, I've got the charts. I can just show up and it'll be fine. Because I've done that. And sometimes you can fake your way through it, but it's really just better to not. So
agreed.
yeah, give yourself time to actually practice and go over things. Yeah, do we just emphasize like practice a lot in this
But I think that is the main point, actually. And that was actually, I had listed out 4 different little things about this. Mostly, I had really focused in on the second half because I've spent a lot of time with that, or the second question that this individual asked. But the biggest one for me was like, just go over the material as much as you can. Because I have been, called into gigs where I literally walked on at sound check. We ran through, they went, what song do you want to practice? And we picked 1 or 2 songs for sound check. Um, and the only way I got through that gig was that I played it a lot at home. And so you got to find
right.
a way to practice. That's just what you have to do. So I'm with you,
That's
man.
it. So I would also say on the practice thing, sometimes we fool ourselves into thinking we can only practice if everybody's together, or if it's a, we put certain requirements on our rehearsal. So look for the opportunity, and even if it's just 2 of you that get together or whatever, take advantage of that. And the more you're kind of breathing the same air, that's great. There's Skype and FaceTime and Duo, and there's all these
Mhm.
ways to
Facebook
um,
Messenger has an amazing chat
Facebook
function.
Messenger does too. So there's ways that you can be interacting with the people, even if you're in different rooms. So
Agreed.
take advantage of technology there too. There's, and if you're sending demos back and forth, I think it's just, yeah, how do you keep communication open and easy is the main thing when you're distance challenged.
Perfect. I think that's actually a fairly, I think that's pretty complete. I don't think I have much to add to that. But I'd kind of like to address the second question, which was life hacks for learning long set lists.
Which can be part of distance learning or,
What,
distance challenged bands.
which, if you're Ann and you're coming up to play my gig, I think we did 3 hours.
We
And
did
or 2.5 or something like
two
that.
and a half. Yeah.
Of
Anyway,
by the way, for the gig Ann did, it was 100% original material. I don't think we played one cover. Um,
no, we did
so
not.
so kudos to her. So that's my first point. But if you're learning long set lists, let me give you my 3 tips. And these are the ones that I've used tried and true because I recently got hired to do a birthday party for somebody where they gave me a list of music and I knew none of the songs. But the money was good enough that I was like, I'm going to do this. And so here are my 3 tips. 1, get on Spotify. If you're an Apple Music user, that's cool. And please listen to my music on Apple Music rather than Spotify because it pays more. But you're going to want Spotify for this because Spotify allows you to playlist. Make a playlist of all the songs you're learning in the cover version that you are going to play and listen to it all the damn time. Like have it on repeat in the car. When you're just making dinner, have it on. Learn the format of the songs, the structure of the songs, and put that playlist in order that you're going to play it. You can also do this on YouTube, but I think Spotify does it better. So that's my tip 1. My tip 2, use charts in Nashville numbers. I'm very specific about Nashville numbers, and I get so much pushback from younger or newer players who might not know Nashville numbers. And the reason is that it's a skill you have to learn, and I get it that it takes some time. But if you're learning 30 songs, if they're mostly pop, top 40, or classic rock songs, you're going to realize that there are patterns of chords and song structures that are repeated.
Exactly.
And if you see 1, 4, 5, 6, or most commonly 1, 5, 6, 4, you will remember that much easier than trying to remember the infinite number of chord combinations. So use Nashville numbers as your friend. All you have to remember is what key it's in and what the numbers are, and you are gold.
Yeah.
And as Anne pointed out, that actually protects you against key changes. Because I have been on stage leading my band before where I've known on a given night that key is too high for me, so we're going to need to pull it down. And it's an expectation in my band that you can do that. So
Right.
that's the second tip. And my third tip for learning a long set list, so to recap, we've got playlists, Spotify, I think, is the best. Nashville number charts. Next is practice, 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 but something that Ann brought up. Practice what you need to practice, not what you're good at. So, Ann, can you elaborate on that? Because I thought that was a great point.
Right. So this is kind of my main point with learning new anything is you're looking for, instead of being like, oh gosh, and focus on how much there is and how much you don't know and getting freaked out about that. Most of the time there's things that you do know, even if it's all new material. Like, so this is part of using Nashville patterns. You say, oh, it's just a 12 bar blues, or oh, this is the same progression as some other song that you already know. So for things, you're looking for ways to attach new information to old information that you already know. So that, because your brain works with efficiency like that.
Absolutely.
So you're looking at not worrying about so much what you already know, because that's a tendency that my students have, that I have from time to time, that we all want to just work on what we know because it's more fun and it gives us confidence,
Mhm.
instead of diving into what we don't. But it's that thing of thinking about it and worrying about it actually takes more energy than doing it. So if you focus in on what you don't know, then that's going to um, get your good energy and attention and actually give you some progress. So what I
Mhm.
do is when I've got a long set list, is I take things one at a time, and I'll make notes on what key it's in, looking at the form, that kind of thing. And so I'm trying to get it and like, oh, okay, this is starting to make sense. I'm looking for patterns is what I'm looking for. And if there's a little lick that I need to learn, or a harmony line or something that requires more time, then I'll focus in on that, because being polished on those things are really what's going to make you look professional and make you sound good. So that's where I try to focus, especially if I'm pressed for time.
I couldn't agree more. Um, yeah. And also, I think the other thing that adds to is it will actually maximize your rehearsal time, because you may not have
Right.
3 hours a day. And so if you know that you can play Can't You See because you've played it a million times, um, rehearsing it's not a good use of your time. So go work on the things you don't know. And that'll actually shorten your rehearsal time because you're not playing stuff that you don't need to play.
Right. So on that, trust yourself that you know what you know. And I think that's the life hack that I have on that for really a lot of things is trust yourself that, oh, I know how to use my ears and hear keychains, or whatever your strength is.
Mm-hmm.
And as Zach up too, if your strength is reading charts, that's okay. You
Yeah.
know, so we all learn a little different. We all have different strengths when it comes to being a part of a band. So rely on that, and where you're not feeling quite as strong, that's where you can spend your practice time.
Yeah. And don't be afraid if you're in a position where you're doing a 3 hour show and you don't have time to rehearse with the band, blah blah blah, and you're not 100% confident. It's better to bring a chart on with you on stage
Right.
than to totally drop the ball. Um, have it inconspicuous. Have it someplace where it's not distracting to the crowd. But that's better than sucking.
It's true. I yeah, I didn't exactly get fired because of this, but maybe. Anyway, back in the day, I was really convinced that I needed to get off charts faster than I needed to, and this is when I was 19 and out on the road briefly with. Anyway,
That is
I.
not why you got fired. And if
It's
you give
not,
us
but anyway,
ten
but
thousand dollars, I'll encourage Ann to tell the story in a private phone
anyway,
call.
but it was one of the things that made me less confident on this particular gig, is I was trying to get myself off of charts before I needed to on some
Mhm.
kind of big gigs. And so it didn't make me look good. Let's just say that.
Use them, man. They're there for a reason. All right.
So there we go. Thank you so much for your questions. Shoot us more. We are
Yeah,
happy to give our 2 cents and
we
see
answer
if
all
we've
the
got.
questions. Yo, I'm Zach Sloan. Who are you?
I'm I'm Ann Luna.
This is the Break Free Blog Vlog. Peace.
Peace. Till next time.
That's what we, yeah.
Nice.
And